The United States attacked Hiroshima and Nagasaki with atomic bombs during World War II in an effort to force Japan to surrender and bring an end to the war. The bombings were conducted as a means to avoid the need for a costly invasion of Japan, which was expected to result in a high number of casualties on both sides. The decision to use the atomic bombs was also influenced by the belief that Japan would not surrender through conventional means and that such a dramatic display of power would bring about a quicker end to the conflict. The decision to drop atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II remains one of the most controversial and debated events in modern history. To understand why the United States made this fateful decision, it is necessary to consider the context of the time and the factors that influenced the decision-makers. World War II was a global conflict that had been raging for years, resulting in massive casualties, destruction, and suffering. By the summer of 1945, Japan was the last Axis power standing, as Nazi Germany had already surrendered in Europe in May. However, Japan showed no signs of surrender despite facing defeat on multiple fronts. The Japanese military and government were deeply entrenched in a mindset of total war and were prepared to fight to the last man, woman, and child. The Allied powers, led by the United States, had been engaged in a brutal island-hopping campaign in the Pacific, aiming to bring the war to Japan's doorstep. The Battle of Okinawa in April-June 1945 had inflicted heavy casualties on both sides, with Japanese civilians and military personnel fiercely resisting the American forces. It became clear to Allied leaders that a full-scale invasion of Japan would be necessary to force a Japanese surrender, an operation that was expected to be incredibly costly in terms of human lives. In this context, the atomic bomb emerged as a new and devastating weapon that promised to bring a swift end to the war. The Manhattan Project, a top-secret US government program, had successfully developed the world's first atomic bombs, and President Harry S. Truman faced a momentous decision about how to use this unprecedented power. Truman and his advisors weighed the options carefully. They considered the likely casualties of a prolonged conventional war with Japan. Estimates suggested that an invasion of Japan could result in hundreds of thousands of American casualties and even higher numbers of Japanese casualties. The potential cost in human lives was a major factor in the decision to use the atomic bombs. On August 6, 1945, the US dropped an atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, on the city of Hiroshima. An estimated 70,000 people were killed instantly in Hiroshima, with tens of thousands more dying later from injuries and radiation exposure. The attack also caused widespread destruction. Despite the devastation, Japan did not immediately surrender, prompting the US to drop a second bomb, codenamed Fat Man, on Nagasaki on August 9, 1945. The Nagasaki bombing resulted in the deaths of approximately 40,000 people. The shock of these attacks, the immense loss of lives, and the demonstration of the power of atomic weapons finally led to Japan's unconditional surrender on August 15, effectively ending World War II. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are the only instances of the use of nuclear weapons in warfare. The decision to use atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki has sparked intense debate and controversy ever since. Proponents argue that the bombings saved countless lives by ending the war more quickly and averting the need for a costly invasion of Japan. Critics, on the other hand, argue that the bombings were unnecessary and immoral, and that Japan was already on the brink of surrender. Ultimately, the decision to drop atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki was a complex and difficult one, shaped by the exigencies of war, the desire to end the conflict quickly, and the immense power of the atomic weapons developed by the US. Whether justified or not, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain a stark reminder of the destructive potential of nuclear weapons and the devastating impact of war on civilian populations and the importance of working towards a more peaceful and secure world. The bombings are remembered annually on August 6 and August 9, with ceremonies and remembrances held in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Please like, share and subscribe for more videos.